What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson. Back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. And, guys, I'm really glad to be back, in this building today. And again, talk about some of the things that are affecting the nation. And from this perspective, we're talking about it from the perspective of Lil Wayne, right? And the reason why we're talking about Lil Wayne is Lil Wayne represents, the African American community with the person that has the unpopular opinion, right? And we all know guys like that. The guy that comes over for Thanksgiving, he's the atheist. The guy that comes over for, Thanksgiving to Christmas, he's a Muslim. There's always people in the black community that doesn't think like the norm thinks. And Lil Wayne represents that oblique thinking path, right? And a lot of people love his music, love his lyricism, but don't necessarily like how the way he thinks about certain things. And I mean, I can understand it, right? Because what Lil Wayne, what we're talking about today is definitely controversial. And Lil Wayne I believe he was on there with Fat Joe on an Instagram Live. That's been very popular. Lil Wayne talks about that, if we want to place the blame on anybody, it should be ourselves, okay? And while he doesn't say black people, or he doesn't say white people, or he doesn't say Asian people, we got to understand that he most likely is talking about the African American community. He's talking about the black community. The reason why is because the people who are protesting, while not only black, they're protesting, or they're saying they're protesting on the behalf of Black Lives Matter. They're saying they're protesting on the behalf of George Floyd. And so the people that seem to have this systemic problem are African Americans. So when Lil Wayne says we blame ourselves, what he's saying is that black people should blame ourselves for this particular problem. That's what he's saying, all right? It doesn't matter if he doesn't say it, with specifics to who all is affected. He's talking about African Americans specifically because he's spoken on, Black Lives and All Lives Matter before, and Police Lives Matter. So we know that Lil Wayne already doesn't have a lot of sympathy for this, Black Lives Matter movement. He's talking about black people. And a lot of people are mad at the comment that he makes, right? And I want to talk about, when Fat Joe asked him about this, he says this: dating music! I think when we see these situations, I think we also have to understand that we have to get very specific. We have to get so specific. And what I mean by that is we have to stop viewing it with such a broad view, meaning we have to stop placing the blame on the whole force and the whole everybody of a certain race or everybody with a badge. So stop right there. When he's saying we, he's talking about blacks, right? We have to actually get into who that person is. And if we want to blame the place on anybody, it should be ourselves for not doing more than what we think we are doing. And let me also talk about, he said this also: dating music! Some people put a tweet out and think they did something. Some people wear a shirt and they think they did something. What you gonna do after that? Did you actually help the person? Did you actually help the family? Did you actually go out there and do something? So if I ain't about to do all that, then I ain't about to do nothing. I'll pray for you. You know what? We gotta give him a round of applause, right? Because although what Lil Wayne is saying is controversial, to a certain degree it holds some merit, right? And I want to talk about this, and I want to talk to, African Americans, as a community of people. I love our people. I love where we've come from. We've come a long way. I can remember my grandfather, who is now dead, telling me that he would have to walk 3 to 4 miles to school because where he went to school at was in a little church, and he couldn't go to school with whites. He had to work the farm and drop out of class and drop out of school to help his family and things like that. And we're no longer there, right? A lot of us, we made a big progress in America, and we influenced the world as African Americans, right? Many are called, but few are chosen to have our path, right? And so we've, and what I mean that is we're a unique group, right? And we should be proud of that. But we gotta talk about that if we want to blame on anybody, it should be ourselves for doing more than what we think we're doing. I talk about this all the time, and we gotta actually look at that when we do not support our issues, we're not doing enough. A lot of us as African Americans, we don't support our issues. We tend not to care about our issues until it's too late. When you have, black businesses, you have the black vote, you have black people working together. A lot of times, and brothers know, you see brothers in the street, we cannot even sometimes get our people to speak to one another, right? And when we can't get, our people to speak to each other, we have problems with the men and the women in our community having issues. You have that going on. And then you have all this discontent. You got black men that don't work together as much as they should. And when we try to attack the system from a logical standpoint, when we have people like Dr. Claude Anderson who give us the game and the information, we don't use that. We don't. And we don't unify with our own people. And a lot of us have a hatred of our people. And the only time it seems like we're able to come together is during a time like this. But once this is over with, we can't get together. We don't, many of us have a hard time working with each other. Many of us have a hard time working with the brothers outside of the diaspora. The brothers in the diaspora, the brothers that are in Africa or in the Caribbean, they have a hard time working with themselves. So this problem, and when we look at the lack of unity, and I understand that whites have played a role in our disunity, but these are things that we can change on ourselves. And when our brother like a George Floyd gets hurt and killed, black men, we do have to blame some of this on ourselves for not doing enough. Are we lobbying people? Are we caring about black male issues to the certain point where we are out there trying to have the conversation, right? We're trying to get brothers out of jail. We're trying to do things as black men to push our initiative up, that we care about each other. We love one another to do that. Do we really want the best for ourselves? Because we can show the society that we are united and that there's going to be a price to pay, whether that be politically, whether that be financially or otherwise, for what we do. And we don't do that. So when he says, if we want to blame the blame on anybody, it should be ourselves for not doing more than we think we're doing, a part of that is right. Now, 100% of the blame isn't on black people. We understand that. And if Lil Wayne, and I think he's insinuating that, the other people don't have a part in this, he's wrong, right? The society has a problem on this, and they are the most to blame. But we do take part of the blame when we don't stick together as black men, when we don't work together, when we don't help each other. And then I want to also address this comment. When we want to talk about, wearing a t-shirt or doing things like Blackout Tuesday and, things that look good but don't actually help the person, don't actually cause change, don't actually go out and change the society, go out there and help and pull our brothers up. When he talks about that quote there, he is not lying, all right? He says, if I'm not about to do anything, say anything, I'm not going to do nothing, right? And that's the situation. A lot of what we are talking about doing, where is it looking good? We have to live by what we're talking about. That's why a lot of times I had a problem with a little bit of that Blackout Tuesday, where you had people that was just doing that just to show, but they don't live that life. They're not, a lot of us are not actively working with our community. We're not working to get things changed. We're not working to connect each other, to do things, to do the hard work, to help our brothers and sisters get ahead. We don't do that like we should. And then we actually think we're doing something when we're not doing something, because a lot of us are afraid to do the work. And David Carroll talks about this. A lot of us don't want to do the intellectually heavy lifting. And it takes the intellectually heavy lifting, being politically educated, like he says. It takes going out supporting black businesses. It takes out putting differences aside. It takes working with the black community. It takes working with the African Union. It takes working with the politicians. It takes working with everybody. Working with the women, working with the men, working with the boys, working with everybody in the black community to make this change. And a lot of us know that we are not committed to doing that. Right? Now, he also talks about this. He suggests that many people expressing outrage haven't done enough to educate themselves. He says this: dating music, what we need to do is we need to learn about it more. If we want to scream about something, know what we're screaming about. If we want to protest about something, know what we're protesting about. Because if we want to get into it, there's a bunch of facts that we think we don't know. We're screaming about things that sometimes that really ain't true. I disagree with him here, because what people are protesting about has been going on for a long time in the country. And again, I think, when Lil Wayne, who says he's never been pulled over by the police, never been, harassed. I mean, you're a rich person, you're world famous. Black people and other people who are protesting on behalf of the system, they know what they're protesting about. This problem was going on in the 50s. It was going on in the 60s. It stirred the whole "I'm Black and I'm Proud" movement. It started SNCC. It started with a Nation of Islam and Elijah Muhammad. It brewed Malcolm X. It brewed Louis Farrakhan. It brewed Khalid Muhammad. Right? In Africa, it brought out the likes of Thomas Sankara. Right? This problem that people are talking about, it is the issue. Okay? And as much as black people have to be involved in this and do better, the society has to take blame for its effect on the people. We don't need to learn about it more. We already know what's going on. And the truth is, they're screaming about things that are true. It's not like they're lying. This is the truth. So I wanted to weigh in on this, guys. Subscribe at the bell. It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson. Go to the first comment pinned to the top. I really appreciate you, brothers, for all that you've done. Thank you so much. And as you guys know, the buffoonery remains at an all-time high. Support us on patreon.com/NegroManosphere. And as you know, the buffoonery remains at an all-time high. I'm out.